I cheated once, and the truth is far worse than anyone could imagine. The most disturbing part isn't that I betrayed someone I cared about. It's that for years I believed I was a good person, someone with principles, someone who understood the weight of trust. And yet, one moment of weakness exposed everything I had convinced myself about myself. The most terrifying realization wasn't the act itself. It was the way it changed how I saw myself, how it infiltrated my mind, and how it slowly consumed the person I thought I knew. At first, I tried to rationalize it, to tell myself it was just a mistake, a momentary lapse, a temporary escape from reality. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Because cheating doesn't just break trust externally. It shatters your own self-image. It redefines your limits. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you never wanted to see. And the worst part is that no one else knows. Not the person I betrayed. Not my closest friends. Not even the people who trusted me the most. But that doesn't make it easier. It only makes the isolation more suffocating. Because the longer you hide the truth, the longer it controls you from the inside out. For days, weeks, months, I lived in a state of constant calculation, fear, and guilt, replaying every moment, every word, every interaction, as if one misstep could expose me and destroy everything. And yet, what I eventually realized is that the danger wasn't in being caught, it was in what I had allowed myself to become, and how that version of me was slowly taking over my life. It didn't start with malice. It didn't start with a plan. It started with a moment of emotional vulnerability. A moment when I felt unseen, unappreciated, and disconnected from the person I thought I loved. I was restless, seeking validation in ways I didn't fully understand. And the temptation arrived quietly, innocuously, in a way that made it feel almost harmless at first. I remember the exact moment I crossed the line. The rush of adrenaline, the simultaneous fear and thrill, the way my mind scrambled to justify what I was about to do. I told myself it didn't mean anything, that it was only a fleeting mistake, that no one would ever know. And for a moment, I almost believed it. But almost believing it is never enough. Once you cheat, even once, the seed is planted. And suddenly your own conscience becomes the cruelest judge. Days passed, and I acted as if nothing had happened. Smiling, laughing, pretending everything was normal. But inside, I was constantly replaying that moment, analyzing every word, wondering if anyone would notice, questioning if the person I had betrayed would ever suspect. Every interaction became calculated. Every conversation a potential minefield, because I knew that one slip, one hint, could expose me instantly. And the longer I maintained the lie, the more it became a part of me, the more it controlled my thoughts, my emotions, my very perception of myself. I started noticing small shifts in my behavior, subtle ways in which I justified little things that I never would have before. Ways in which I prioritized temporary satisfaction over honesty, over loyalty, over the values I once held sacred. What started as a single act became a mirror, reflecting a part of me I had been too afraid to confront. A selfish, reckless, impulsive part that I didn't recognize as myself until it had grown stronger than I realized. Weeks turned into months, and the weight of secrecy began to suffocate me. I couldn't fully engage with the person I betrayed. I couldn't connect authentically with anyone, because I was living a double life, split between who I appeared to be and who I had become in that private, hidden reality. The guilt was relentless, but even worse was the fear. The knowledge that my actions had consequences not just for someone else, but for the very essence of who I was. And then came the moment when the truth could no longer be avoided. When the confrontation was unavoidable, not because someone discovered it, but because I could no longer live with the person I had become. I had two choices. Continue hiding, continue pretending. or finally admit everything, face the consequences, and confront the parts of myself I had spent months running from. Choosing the truth felt like stepping off a cliff. I knew it would hurt, I knew it would cause pain, and I knew it could potentially destroy relationships I valued more than anything else. But the alternative, continuing the deception, felt heavier than any possible fallout. So, I admitted it. I told everything. Not just the act itself, but the reasons, the moments of weakness, the thoughts, the justifications, the shame. And the reactions I received were mixed. Anger, disappointment, confusion, sadness, silence. But in that moment, something unexpected happened. I felt a relief so profound I hadn't realized existed. Because finally, I was no longer hiding from myself. Finally, I had confronted the truth. And that confrontation, as painful as it was, became a turning point. It forced me to rebuild my sense of integrity, to examine my choices, to reflect deeply on what kind of person I truly wanted to be. It taught me that being human means making mistakes, but it also means facing them, accepting responsibility, and using the experience to grow stronger. I began to understand the depth of trust, the fragility of relationships, and the power of honesty, even when it comes with destruction. And perhaps the cruelest lesson of all was that the truth of who we are is always more important than the image we try to protect. Because no act, no lie, no betrayal is ever contained. It changes you, whether the world knows or not. And learning to live with that change, to accept it, to integrate it, is the only way to move forward without losing yourself completely. The experience left scars, but it also left insight, awareness, and a sense of responsibility that I had never possessed before. I realized that being honest, even when it hurts, even when it destroys, is the only way to reclaim yourself from the shadows of your own mistakes. And in that dark, painful reckoning, I finally began to see who I was and who I could still choose to become. If you are watching this right now and feel like you've made a choice you regret, understand that the truth is always heavier than the lie. And the longer you avoid it, the heavier it becomes. Because hiding from the consequences does not protect you. It only allows the parts of yourself you fear to grow stronger. Cheating, lying, or betraying trust is never just about the act itself. It is about what it reveals about your character, what it reveals about the boundaries you are willing to cross, and the person you risk becoming in the process. You might think you can hide, forget, or move on without consequences. But the truth will always find a way to reach you, and your conscience will never let you ignore it. The question is not whether you will be caught. It's whether you are willing to face yourself and confront the truth, even when it's painful, even when it feels impossible, even when it threatens everything you've built. And if this story made you pause, reflect, or question your own choices, don't ignore that feeling. Because awareness is the first step toward true growth. Make sure you subscribe for more deep, real, and powerful stories like this. Because sometimes the hardest truths we face are the ones that change us forever.